Hey, Gator Nation, welcome back to the Respect Our Decision Pod of the People. Guys, as you know, most of y'all that watch this is our weekly show that is our Q&A show that we do for you, our fans and listeners, that you send in your questions, man, and we try to give them some answers or feedback from what we've heard or know, and just try to interact with you, the fan. And we appreciate you each and every week for sending in these questions. As you know, as always, I'm your boy Hirsch. With me, the hype man, Wes.
What's good, Gator Nation? What's good?
If you watch this week's regular show, you already know CJ is out. His wife had a baby girl. They are all healthy and happy. So continued prayers and wishes to them. As you might know, this show doesn't air till Saturday. We record this on Wednesday night, though, guys. So bear with us. If anything we say has changed between now and Saturday when you listen to the show, or Sunday, or whenever you listen to it. Sometimes that stuff happens. That's just the risk we take by recording it on Wednesday when we're all free and available to do such things. But as always, guys, make sure you go out there, download the podcast wherever you get your favorite podcast from, and we're available at all those providers. And if you're checking us out on YouTube, guys, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video if you like this content, and leave a comment down below, guys, for your question, maybe for next week, or give your predictions for the NFC and AFC championship games that will be starting as you watch this on Saturday. Give your predictions on who wins below and what that Super Bowl matchup is going to look like, guys. We love to read that stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about that here in a minute. We talked about it at the end of the regular show, but in case you miss it, we'll talk about it on this one too. All right, man, we're going to jump right on into it. We got a load of questions. Y'all sent in all kinds of wrestling questions this week. I might have to put y'all on a damn 2-question cutoff or something like that because we're getting way out of hand now. Y'all, we love. You ain't upsetting me. I love it, but somebody's gonna get mad and be like, "I thought this was a football show, and all y'all were talking about is wrestling." And that's why this show isn't for everyone, and
It's
that's
the off
cool.
season, man. It's the
It's the
off
off
season.
season, man. We need topics. Oh man. I'm gonna start right off with our boy Sam Atwell. Sam, thank you for sending in your questions. He's got two. I'll start off with this one. Any news on if we're still pursuing the tight end from Air Force? Sam, last I heard, I believe we are, but others think we're not. If that makes any kind of sense. Some people think that we're still trying to. I've heard other people say we really don't need another tight end right now. We took, as of this recording on Wednesday, we took a preferred walk-in tight end. Preferred walk-in. Jesus, God, get it together, Hirsch. You're already struggling. We're in 5 minutes. A preferred walk-on tight end earlier today, so maybe they decided to go a different route. But like I said, they have to be added by Friday. So by the time of this recording, hey. His other question, Sam, your other question, have you heard any news about potential recruits for 2025 that might be committing soon? I have a couple. We talked about one on the main show. Peyton Joseph, offensive lineman from Warner Robins, is committing on February 14th. So it looks real good for the good guys right now. And another one to keep an eye on is Hilton Stubbs. He's a safety out of Mandarin down there in Florida. And that young man has come really close to committing to Florida a couple times. So it would not surprise me if he makes another visit, if he went ahead and popped. Here you go, Wes. This is a good question. I want your answer for this. Braden McGrew asked, I'm sorry, Braden. I read your name too fast. How many games does Billy have to win to keep his job? ? 7? ?
I think 7 with that schedule next year, and with the University Miami getting Cam Ward, I counted it as a victory. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to do. We've talked about it. We're going to do an outlook on the schedule as far as what January looks like. Well, it'll be February when we do it, but from February before we get all these practice notes, and this guy looks like the next guy, and Trey Wilson looks like Percy Harvin, and Trey Webb looks like Fred Taylor, and Graham Mertz looks like Joe Burrow 2.0. Before we get all of that, we're gonna have a preview of what we think as far as our outlook on the season. But I think 7 will save Billy because but it also has to look good against this schedule. We can't get blown out with the 5 losses because if we win 7 games, that's 5 losses. We can't get blown out in all 5 losses either. So to me, 7 wins will save him if we look competitive in those 5 losses. That's Georgia probably being that one of those losses. So let's say we get blown out of 17 points, 20 points, Georgia. We can't get blown out against FSU. We can't get blown out against Miami. We can't get blown out against Ole Miss, and we can't get blown out against Missouri. Let's say that's the 5th loss. We can't have 5 blowouts as well. It has to be kind of close in some of those games where it's competitive and the team looks like they're progressing. The last 2 years, Billy has failed closing the season, where it's not looking. Same thing with McElwain in his first 2 seasons, where even though we went to the SC championship game, we know we're going on like a 2 or 3 loss in the SC championship game and losing to Florida State and losing to whoever that was. It doesn't look like, okay, going into next year, how we're going to look. So I think 7 wins could save him his job, but it has to look good going down the stretch, and he can't have the same season he had the last 2 years where it looks like we're not progressing on the field as well.
I'm gonna keep it honest. I think they can win 6 and make a bowl game, and he'll still have his job. I really, really do. I the more and more I think about it, and the more and more I listen to people that know a lot more than I do,
It's that
I
schedule.
think if he wins 6 games against that schedule, knowing he the year after is the DJ year,
Yep.
you're gonna give him every opportunity. But like I said, he has to not only win 6 games, but you said it, he's got to look better in doing so.
Yep.
There is no losing games you ain't supposed to lose. There are no getting blown out. You got to look competitive. I mean, now, can you get blown out?
Yeah, you can get blown out by Georgia.
Can you lose at the end of the game and it look ugly on the scoreboard at the end of the game against Georgia and Texas? Probably. Those are the 2. But no, FSU there's no excuse. That team is not the team that you even held with for 3.5 quarters this year. Next year, they're just not. There is no Verse out there. There is no Johnny Wilson. There is no Coleman.
Yeah.
All those cats are gone. And granted, we didn't have to face, the quarterback, but I'm not. DJ Onomatopoeia ain't on the same level.
Yeah.
And you get to prep for him by facing KJ Jefferson again when you play UCF. I mean, very similar in body types and skill sets in my eyes. So, yeah, I think if you win 6 games and you look confident, even in the losses, I think he keeps his job. Now, don't go out week 1 and get blown out by Miami, and that ball is going to roll the wrong way real fast. You can't do it. I understand that's Cam Moore, but hey, that's your game 1 in a new system with a new team. You'll never catch him more off guard. You've got Graham Mertz experienced. You've got an experienced pretty much your whole offense outside of Ricky and obviously Trevor is returning. So, get that figured out in the offseason. Maybe Trey Webb steps up and fills that void. Maybe Shamir DK fills that void. I'm not saying he's going to be Ricky. I don't think he's going to get 1,000 yards. But you've got plenty of talent in that receiver room now. There's no excuse that 2 or 3 of those guys can't step up. I think Khalil Jackson should have a good season now. He's shown he's got the ability. Boardingham should be much better. You're getting Zipperer back. Now, offense should be much improved. And this is before we even get into the conversation of are you getting a new offensive coordinator? I mean, so the big question mark will continue to be the defense.
Yep.
Now, to me, there's no excuse for the defense not to be better either. Second year under the system.
They can't be any worse, Hurst.
They can't be any worse. You got a new, exuberant, high energy defensive back coach. You know, you've got a defensive line coach that pros and other college athletes all like rave about. And then you got Rodgers coming in to oversee the whole thing, kind of help gel it together, a veteran presence to kind of keep all these young guys kind of in. I really think with Childs and Graham coming in, and, you know, young linebackers, I really think the defense steps forward next year. Like I said, I think 6 games and you can keep your job, but I really think there's a chance to get out in front of that. And we'll talk about that later on when we talk about that schedule. Jed Keel sends this one in. Jed, thank you as always for sending in your question. Wes, I'm going to throw this one to you as well. Realistically, how much do you see DJ use this season? Curious to see if it looks close to the Leak and Tebow in 06.
Well, contrary to what people believe, Tebow wasn't really used that much. He was just used in like goal line and 4th and 1s, 3rd and 1 situations. And this is before. That's a good question because this is before spring practice, and I can get an idea of how DJ looks in the offense. But I and because the schedule's so tough, I can't see him coming in like those. You know, like okay, we're gonna blow out Florida A&M or somebody, or you know what I mean. So it's kind of weird because of the schedule. And Mertz played, in my opinion, he played so well last year with the lack of turnovers that it kept us in ball games that we probably wouldn't have been the previous year. That's a good damn question. I don't think he's going to be used as much as we might want, and I think that will be a testament to the way Mertz will play this year. Let me say that.
I think you'll see it.
It'll be like Tebow years because people don't realize.
I think you're going to see him like once a half, maybe.
Yeah, it won't be like that.
Because I don't see Billy, and this is it, we know Billy is very. What's the right word for this? I don't want to say he's not a risk taker because we saw some of those crazy ass plays last year. But I don't think he's the kind of guy who take momentum away from his quarterback.
Yeah, the way Dan did, the perfect comp would have been
Emory and
Trask.
No. Yes,
Emory and
yes.
Trask. I don't think he plays. And when you say that gave me a good example. I don't think it will be Emory and Trask. Remember?
Yeah, every third series, him running out there. I don't see him do that. I think you'll see him once a half. Just so people have the game plan for him.
Yep.
Because and that way you work him in. Now, if the game's a blowout, say whoever you might blow out on this schedule, you get him snaps obviously in the 4th quarter. But this might be a situation of depending on what you see early in the season, you maybe play him 4 games and then he's done. Now, I don't really think that's going to happen because I don't think DJ's spending 4 years at anywhere.
Nah.
As of today. Now, granted, look, we've seen great quarterbacks get to college and disappear. We're talking about you, Tate Martell. It could happen, but I don't think it's happening because this young man is just so physically gifted. I think now, I don't want to say this out loud, but I think it would take a real idiot to screw DJ up. But somebody's going to feast on that answer. All right. Justin Wood has his usual handful of questions. Justin, you asked a baseball question. I'm going to lay off on that one. That's CJ's territory, obviously, and he's not here for it. So, keep that question in your back pocket and ask it next week. All right. First question, any news on how the new strength conditioning coach is working out so far? Do the players like him? No players going down to the local gym anymore to work out with Mike Kent, LOL. No, so far, everything I've heard has been great. And of course, you see the little hype up videos that they post on Twitter. And I said it in the main show. I'm not going to put a whole lot of stock into that because that's very choice what they choose to show and whatnot. So you can't ever really buy into that as in like, oh man, look how much more they like this guy than the last guy. There were plenty of videos where Hawk was out there fired up and the players were fired up. So, but like we reported in our last episode, man, we're going to have Justice Boone on next week. And that's one of the questions that's at the top of the list that I personally want to ask is how different is the strength and conditioning program, versus the old guy? Justin's next question. Do we expect any more players to transfer out of Florida?
After spring practice, I will look for that. After
Probably, yeah. It really depends on maybe some guys and how close they are to graduating. Like, that's sometimes what guys, because I mean, you know how much weight a diploma from the University of Florida holds. You get that diploma. If you say, well, man, I'd really like to transfer to another school where I'm going to play more, but if I wait 3 more months, I've got my diploma, and then I can grad transfer wherever I want to transfer. Yada yada yada.
Portal kind of opens back up again as well.
Yeah,
so,
you get that spring portal.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to see, like, Humphrey's this, like we said, we record this on Wednesday evening. Humphrey's transferred. We were told today, like he was, he just graduated and he's gone. There wasn't any real announcement about it or anything like that. So, Justin, your next question. Do you think there's any traction with the newly offered QB Matt Zollers? Justin, I mean, I think they're just throwing a wide net out there on quarterbacks right now. I still believe the top 2 are Montgomery and Antoine Hill. I don't know how much of a traction there is to it yet. I think he'd need to visit a few times, bring his family, all that good stuff. I haven't heard anything more than that. You're going to have a hard time this cycle getting a high quarterback to come in and sit behind DJ for a minimum of 2 years. So it'll be interesting to see who that guy that chooses to be is. Ryan Guerin asks, who's in your way too early top 3 rational wish list for the 25 recruiting cycle? Ryan, I'm going to be very, very honest with you. I have not broke it down that deep yet. Something we're trying to get through the transfer portal stuff right now. Obviously, like I just mentioned, Montgomery or Hill, one of those 2 right now is in my top of the list. Having watched highlights of both, I'm really impressed with them. Obviously, Peyton Joseph, the offensive lineman that it looks like we may get. I mean, anytime you can get a high recruited offensive lineman, God knows we'll take him because a guy ranked inside the top 120 ain't happening very often under this administration. And we know that. Hell, it didn't happen very much in the old one either. So
my scare to that is if we do make changes on the offensive line as far as coaches, does he push back his
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, because we're going to know that. We're probably going to know that here at the end of January when those 2 contracts come up. What happens especially once these NFL coaches get in place, if Rob Sale was to go back to NFL, which there have been rumors about. So we're going to have to wait and see. And another, I don't have a specific name to place with this, but you've got to find a way to get an elite receiver in 2025.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the guys we got. Obviously, you can't say enough about them. Trey Wilson is that dude. I mean, but he wasn't ranked like that dude. I mean, On3 had him ranked high, but the other ones were kind of on him. you need a surefire, can't miss kind of top 100 receiver. You've got to go all out for that.
I want to
And
see,
preferably one that's 6'1", 6'2", somewhere in there to offset
because we
all
got a
these
lot of small,
5'10"
yeah.
speedsters. Yeah.
And
Like
you
at some
got
point, you've got to have a balance in that
and
wide receiver room.
and you guys know how I felt about the 24 class as far as the class. This is how I'm looking at the 25 season, saying that if Billy Napier is going to be there and DJ Lagway is going to be our quarterback, I want him to have a big. I'm looking at the tight end position. Okay, Bordenham will be going into his junior year, and then we're looking at, okay, can we get somebody to pair up with Trey? Let's say Andy Jean is a dude this year. Let's say what's his name? A fast guy, the other fast
Aiden
guy.
Mizell.
Mizell is a dude. I still would want to have that big receiver, that possession
You
type
need a
receiver
possession
there.
guy. You need a
Yeah,
10-yard and hook kind of
yeah,
guy. Hey, I'm going to throw it in the back corner. You go up and get it kind of guy.
yeah.
I mean, since Pitts left, I'd argue
And Grimes too.
Grimes. Yeah. Well,
Grimes was that possession guy.
Shorter
And
was that
Shorter
guy
was
too.
Yeah,
He was. I really, short memory here.
yeah.
Shorter was. I think Justin Shorter doesn't get enough love, and I don't think he was used as good as he could have been. Part of that was just obviously AR was not fully to what he's gonna be one day yet. He's new coach, new system, all that good stuff. Questionable system, we know. But yeah, we got to get a receiver in here that's got some size and can battle with corners, especially the physical corners you run up against in the SEC. All right, one more football question from Justin Cordero. If Strickland left for another job, who would be on your wish list of AD hires for Florida? Look, Justin, I'm going to be very admitting of something right now. I don't know jack about ADs. I really don't. I don't follow it. I've never followed ADs that deeply except when they get hired at the University of Florida. Hey, give me the cat that's at Ole Miss. I'm just throwing stuff against the wall here because that dude's bought in. You know what I'm saying? Find me guys that will possibly leave their job for an upgrade. If you can,
I
I'd
need
like
guys
to
that
think.
go. I'm glad you answered that question first because I don't know ADs like that as well. But I want a guy that's going to toe the line, a guy that's not afraid to toe the line and not afraid to
I want a guy that's not
speak
afraid to
out.
go up against the UAA or anybody else and saying, look,
Yeah,
this is what
that's
we
I'm
need to
saying.
do to be great in football, to be great in
Yep.
basketball. I'm tired of the penny pinching, hire a coach that's kind of, he's hot, but he's not like
I want an
scorching
optics
white
guy,
knuckle hot. We need the damn, hey,
non-political guy. I need a guy that's going to go in
well,
there
Dan
and
Lanning's
toe
going to
the.
cost too much. Well, then we need to pay it.
Yep.
If it came to hiring another coach, obviously we're talking in very theoretical, hypothetical situations here. If Nate was to lose his job and you had a new AD, because I'm sure both are going to go hand in hand,
Yeah.
because Scott Strickland's not hiring another football coach. It's just not happening. But my fear is that this UAA is going to hire a guy that's kind of a puppet and does what they want to do. But maybe Ben Sassy surprises me, steps up and says, hey, I'm running the show now. So, all right, guys, this is the wrestling question section of the show. So if you don't want to hear the wrestling questions, I'm just telling you now, I separated them out just for this matter, because I'm going down the line now. And if you don't want to listen to these, you can back out now.
But make sure you like and subscribe before you do that.
Yeah, make sure you like and subscribe for the content you've already heard. All right, final warning. Here we go. All right. Justin Cordero writes, favorite pay-per-view theme in WWF and WCW? Rumble and Bash at the beach for me. Also, how many... My God, Justin, you put a wrestling question and a football question in the same one and threw me off target. We're just going over the wrestling questions. Favorite pay-per-view in WCW, always Halloween Havoc, man. Loved Halloween Havoc. Favorite match of all time, Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, 1997 Halloween Havoc. can remember these things. WWF Royal Rumble, hands down. Can't wait for Saturday. Love a Royal Rumble. Always been my favorite. Surprises and stuff like that. It just always has been the best. Wes,
Um, I love all the WrestleManias. My favorite, even though The Rock is my favorite of all time. I can't remember their event off the top of my head because I wasn't prepared for that question. But I would go with the one where he lost to Stone Cold, where
well, that was
they
all 3 times he faced him at WrestleMania.
yeah the one where I think that they kept jumping out of their final whatever their
Their
moves,
finishers.
their finishers. I couldn't think of the name, but their finishers.
I can't
Where
remember the number of the
that might have
Mania
been the
either.
second one. That might have been the second one where I was like, The Rock is gonna win because he beat him. Stone Cold beat him the first time, but yeah, that second one I believe was the one I thought The Rock was gonna finally win because I think I told you guys before when you asked the rest of the question. The corporate Rock was my favorite Rock, not the Hollywood Rock and other that, but the corporate Rock was my favorite one. He was kind of a heel, but he was kind of not a heel where he was a heel, but you loved him at the same time. That was
I
my
got you.
favorite Rock. Yeah.
Justin Wood, favorite wrestler in WCW. Mine is Diamond Dallas Page. Justin, mine, I'll get right on top of what CJ said last week. Mine will always be Sting for WCW. Wes, you have
Yeah.
one for WCW?
Ultimate Warrior.
He was in
The,
WCW for
the,
like 2 months.
I'm screw that. Not. I would go with Sting too. I would go with Sting. I wanted to say Scott Hall, but nah. I'm gonna go with
Scott Hall was great in
Sting. Yeah,
WCW.
yeah.
He wasn't quite Razor, but Bo Dolls asked favorite female wrestler. Man, that's a good question. My legitimately one of my favorites. I'm gonna say somebody that nobody would talk. Well, no, I'm not actually. Lita was probably my all-time favorite female wrestler, just because she could do the crazy stuff before any of the women started trying to do the moonsaults and the stuff like
Yeah,
that.
she
You
was
know,
the
when
hardest. Yeah.
yeah, you got a favorite female wrestler of all time?
I don't know if you would constitute her as a wrestler, but I would go with China because
She's
rest in peace.
absolutely a wrestler. What are you talking
Okay.
about?
I mean, because she didn't wrestle a lot
Yes, she
like they do
did.
now.
She
I
was the
mean,
first ever woman in the Royal Rumble.
but people know her as, coming in and fixing stuff for Triple
I
H
know,
and,
but
and stuff.
she
Yeah,
set a new standard for women's
yeah,
wrestling. If you
yeah.
listen to
China,
women, like if you listen to people like Beth Phoenix talk about it, she's the reason that a lot of these women got into wrestling.
yeah, I love China. China was my girl, and rest in peace. And as much as I love Triple H, because he was at my time at one time before I converted to The Rock. Triple H was my favorite with the pedigree and all that stuff in DX. And we know how that went when he left her for Stephanie, but I think that turned her down a spiral and kind of blackballed her
Yeah,
out
it
of
messed her up
wrestling.
big
Yeah,
time, man. That was sad.
yeah, yeah. So I will go with China. I love China.
Jay
She,
Stubbins asked, favorite tag team of all time. Mine is Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors. Jay,
that's a
mine.
good question.
That is a good question. See, you got to be
That's a
more
good
ready for
answer
this.
too. Yeah,
Mine is Edge and Christian. It ain't even close, man. I'd say
because
a very close second is the Steiner brothers, but
I'm surprised you didn't say, even though they wasn't like a real tag team. I'm surprised you didn't say The Rock and
The Rock
because I
and
know
Sock,
you. Yeah, I know you
that's a more of
love.
a
I
comedy act,
know.
like you were about to
Yeah,
say. I'm talking about if
I
you're talking
love.
about real, legitimate, recognized tag team wrestlers, like,
Yeah,
you know,
Hawk and
and there's a
Animal.
lot of people that are very serious about tag team wrestling. Like, they're
That's
like,
why I say when he said Hawk and Animal, that to me
that's a
that was
real
the
tag team. That's
yeah.
yeah. No, Edge and Christian, man, they were not only were they great wrestlers, but they were funny as hell too. And had some
Mine.
great segments with my boy Mick when he was the general manager of Raw.
This would throw you back, Hirsch. Napster. Remember Napster?
Mm-hmm.
When you would record all the songs and everything, and I
Yeah.
would have all the theme musics that when I had Napster. And
Yes.
of course, if I'm saying Napster, what is the greatest theme music of that time? It would be Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. I had that
Oh,
on there.
you didn't know?
Road
No,
Dogg.
no, no.
Yeah, I was a big DX fan. That's why I was saying
So let
Triple
me
H was
tell
my
you, man,
guy there.
I used to go around at work. I was working at Publix at the time. I had just become a manager when they became like real big. I
Yeah.
used to go in the back room and come around the corner and yell that from the other end of the back room. You didn't know, and
Road
people would turn
Dogg,
around and
man.
be
Yeah,
laughing.
man. Badass
Your
Billy
ass better
Gunn.
call. All right.
DX.
Last question. Lucas, the Gator Man, asks favorite all-time storyline. Mine is the Undertaker and Kane storyline. And Lucas, that's a damn good one. That was so well done when they turned Glenn Jacobs into Kane and had him show up. And that man was scary when he first came out, man. My favorite storyline will forever be Crow Sting versus the NWO in WCW. That was a year in making before Sting didn't even talk for a year to set up the storyline. That's real storytelling, man. That was I don't even have a remotely close second, to be very honest with you. See, West doesn't even have a first.
Yeah, I mean, to me that would have been my first because I talked about how when the NWO infiltrated WCW, well, not the NWO, but when Scott Hall and Nash went over there, and I
The
wanted
invasion angle
when they
was
did
really cool.
the Wolf Pack, I wanted Scott Hall because he was my
Yeah.
favorite at that time. I wanted him to go over to the Wolf Pack, and he was like, he did this. It was about the money. I got to go to the Black and White. It was about the money. That was a
It was hard when they broke up
yeah,
him and Nash, man.
yeah, that
Because
was, I loved it.
because because in junction with that, the invasion storyline was so crazy because
Yeah.
nothing like that had ever been done. And that was before we had the internet to get on and get spoiled. We didn't have Twitter or anything remotely even in that stratosphere back then for people to say, oh, well, Scott Hall signed with WCW and he's going to show up on, Nitro on this date. And then, you were
Yeah.
watching and you're like, man, this dog was just on
There was no internet. We
WWE
don't know what's
last
going to happen.
week.
Yeah, that's before the internet. We knew no leaks and stuff came
Yeah,
out.
there were
So I would
no
say
spoilers.
my favorite when I'm not calling him Shawn Michaels, when HBK came back, and we thought that he was going to be with DX, and he ended up going corporate. And
Yeah.
that storyline when The Rock, to me, this is my old Rock did so many phenomenal promos, but when he did everybody's promo, like their line, when
I
he
know which
said
one you're talking about.
when he
When he
came out
did
and said,
Macho and he did
yeah,
Flair. Yeah.
no, that's not it.
To
That to
be the
me,
best, you got to be.
that's not it. That's not it either. Yeah, and Triple H yells
Ooh,
out,
yeah. No, that's
"Yours is
definitely
not
not it.
that good either." Yeah, that to me, when they did that storyline, that I was caught up because I was in love with The Rock, and he did that, and he was like, "To be the best." No, that's not it. That's not it either. To
When The
me,
Rock,
that was
when DX went against the Nation of Domination, that was a damn good
yeah,
storyline, too.
yeah,
When Rock was really just getting his first buzz, he was like Intercontinental Champion. And they did the skit on like back-to-back shows where they came out dressed like the other ones and made fun of him, and Hunter come out kind of in semi blackface with the eyebrow on him and all that stuff.
yeah. That was good, man. X Pac and all of the, like, that's
Called
why I
himself
love
the
DX, man.
Croc. He was the
Yeah.
Croc.
Wasn't that when he did the promo when he did everybody when they were
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the ring
yeah.
already? Yeah, that I think they were already in the ring when he came out and he said, "To be the man, you got no. That's not it. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
no, that's
crazy,
not it
man.
either.
Oh,
Yeah,
they had some great the Raw days were unbeaten,
yeah.
man.
Rock was a master with the mic.
All right, guys, thanks for sending in all your questions as always, guys. We got some more football business we're going to talk about before we get out of here. Me and Wes, our NFL teams don't have a head coach right now. Wes is a Commanders fan. I'm a Falcons fan. Yes, our lives are miserable.
Yeah,
But we're going to talk about, man, who we want our head coach to be right now. We neither one of us have our head coach. We're recording this like just an hour after Jim Harbaugh has been announced head coach of the Chargers. So the Falcons missed on that one. He was supposed to come tomorrow for a second interview. Wes, who you want the Commanders to hire, man?
Brian Johnson, offensive coordinator from Detroit. I want him, and the more and more I see that what's the Tennessee Titans head coach? That I think I'm surprised he hasn't got a job.
Vrabel.
Vrabel had an album.
He's interviewing in Atlanta as we speak.
Okay, so depending on what y'all do, I would love it. I hope he doesn't sit out a year. I would love for him to be my defensive coordinator and give me Brian because I'm infatuated with offensive coordinators being head coaches. The reason being is because if if you look at the Houston Texans for example, D'Amico Ryans and Brian Sloak has done a hell of a job over there with CJ Stroud. But if Brian Sloak leaves, what does that leave CJ Stroud? D'Amico Ryans has a new offensive guy in there to work with his young quarterback. Might not be the same. So I'm infatuated for that reason with offensive minded coaches. As the same thing with college football. I love offensive minded guys because you don't have to worry about the guy leaving. As far as your offensive coordinator taking another job, same thing that Detroit is about to go through. Whether if Brian Johnson goes to, I keep saying Brian Johnson. I can't remember his first name but if Johnson leaves the Detroit Lions and goes to your team, the Atlanta Falcons, or comes to my team, the Washington Commanders, or goes to the Carolina Panthers, then Detroit might be set back because he's done worlds of wonders with Jared Goff, who the Rams didn't even want anymore. They wanted Stafford because Sean McVay didn't believe in him anymore. So to see what he just done with uh, Jared Goff, I want that guy in my building. I want that guy to be my head coach. Now I know it's a different title when you're a CEO and you have to do all the media stuff and be a type of CEO where you have to see the whole football field and really call plays and indulge yourself in that. But I want an offensive minded guy, and to me, to see the stuff he has done, I think he's led as far as percentages, as far as under center, which I love because the way you can do play action and stuff. You see a lot of these guys in shotgun all the time. And to me, to make those linebackers honest and have them come up, he's done wonders in that offense. So that's who I want. I want Johnson from Detroit.
See, I got to deal with all this Bill Belichick stuff down here in Atlanta, man. And I some people will call me crazy for not wanting Bill Belichick, but I kind of don't. I understand the pluses to it, but I don't want like a 1, 2, maximum 3-year deal because I think he's just chasing Shula's record at this point. And I don't want a guy that's just going to be here a couple years and then you have to do it all over again. I want a guy that's can possibly be a cornerstone to your organization now. I also know that continuing to hire coordinators is a flip of the coin on how that's going to work out. But I'm really, really infatuated with the two guys that we've interviewed from the Ravens, being Mike McDonald and Anthony Weaver. Mike McDonald's defensive coordinator for the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens have the best defense in the league. Falcons defense was much better this year. Our defensive coordinator just signed, just left to go to Jacksonville. So, man, I don't know. I feel like with the offensive weapons we have, a defensive guy could come in, run that defense, and hire a young, hot shot offensive coordinator to take advantage of Pitts and London and Robinson and, just all the offensive weapons we have. And I also really am not too keen on just getting a 1 to 2 year rental veteran quarterback. I know a lot of people said, well, if Bill Belichick comes, Kirk Cousins might come to the Falcons. And I don't want to do that.
Let me ask you this question, Harris, because we talked about it on the last one. I know you say you don't want to do that. What if that gets you a Super Bowl? Within 2 years, what if Kirk Cousins leads you with a Bill Belichick defense? You're going to get a disciplined defense, right? So you're going to get a disciplined defense. And let's say not this year. Let's say you make it to the division round next year. And then you say, okay, we get another linebacker, another safety on defense because you have dudes. Like, you don't have guys. You have dudes at wide receiver, tight end, and running back. You have guys. And Kirk Cousins leads you to a Super Bowl in 2020, would it be 2026? Would you take
Oh,
that and then reset? I gotta ask you.
I don't think you're gonna have any tread on the tires with him by then, though. That's the
Which
problem.
one? Which guy? Kirk?
Cousins. I mean, Cousins is already, he got hurt this year, and now you're coming back from the ACL, or was it an Achilles? I can't remember which one
I
he
can't
hurt.
remember either.
But it's still a leg injury on a guy that's not getting any younger. Another guy I've heard is Russell Wilson, and I'm like, no, I don't want Russ either.
I'll
Like, I
take
don't.
Kirk first. I'll take Kirk first.
Yeah, I would too, because you've seen what he's done up there. Obviously with Justin Jefferson and
He don't need his legs to be good.
Addison. I mean, and his tight end. He uses his tight ends. I mean, could it work? Absolutely.
You should see him with another Florida tight end, Jordan Reed, when he was in Washington with me. Like Jordan Reed
I
had
remember
shares with Kirk. So imagine what he would do with Pitt.
I'm just worried that if you take that gamble, Cousins gets hurt, arm goes out, whatever happens. I mean, now granted, you've seen quarterbacks have tremendous longevity in that league. I mean, Tom Manning, Eli, all those guys,
He's the type that would do it. That's why I'll say him over Russell, because Kirk never needed his legs. Kirk is going to get the ball out. He's not going to take the big hits. This was the first year he's ever missed a game.
But you look at
starts.
Yeah, but you look at how the best teams, man, they have quarterbacks that are mobile for the most part. Now, I mean,
True.
Obviously Brock Purdy is probably not what you would call
and golf.
Yeah,
golf.
But those are teams. Once again, you get the defense right. Maybe you're working with something. But I don't know, man. It's one of those. The problem Atlanta's having is Belichick doesn't want to work with Rich McKay, and then Arthur Blank doesn't want to fire or get rid of Rich McKay. So at some point, you've got to make a decision. What do you want more? Do you want to win, or do you want to be friends?
And Smith is good. The assistant GM, he came from Washington. He got my core right. The assistant GM, I can't remember his first name, but Smith, the guy that's next to McKay, he's legit. So
Fontenot is our GM. Terry Fontenot is our GM.
Who's the assistant guy? Is it Kevin?
I don't know.
He came from Washington, but he's a good Italian back. And y'all have a good roster. It's not the roster.
Oh no, we should have won 5 more games than we won this year.
Y'all should have beat us.
We should have won that division running away. Like, it shouldn't even been close. But here we are. All right, boys and girls, man, that is going to do it for this week's Pot of the People. We sure do appreciate y'all just tuning in with us as we ramble about things and kind of just have, regular old conversations on here.
Barbershop talk.
Yeah, exactly. But as always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Leave some questions below if you got questions for next week's show, or be on the lookout for our questionnaire. It'll be up as usual on Monday. Get those questions in. Busy week next week. Don't miss our interview with Justice Boone. Don't miss the interviews we got with Mr. Babara from Florida Victorious. That'll be up this weekend. A lot of new content coming, guys. It's going to be a busy year. Hopefully we can provide you all with a lot of great content. But until then, guys, make sure you follow us, subscribe, leave a like on the video. And until next time, guys, go Gators.
Go Gators.